Shower. On the third day of the camping trip, you and your father stay in the yard of the house of your father's cousin Linda and her regrettable husband George, who cracks casually racist and sexist jokes as if they were funny or if they weren't subtly killing you and all your friends. Linda lives with George in a cabin they are dispatching several trees to keep expanding in the middle of the Hiawatha National Forest, a land named after a peacemaking Native American leader and federally protected by gun-toting white people because even in nature, colonialism is alive and thriving. You spend too much time indoors over the course of the day, but you also hate the mosquitoes, and who can really live in the outdoors anyway? You think maybe Thoreau was a crackpot. You think maybe this trip was a waste. You pit the radical potential of the wilderness and its utter absence of structure that you believe conducive to healing and freedom or even utopia against George's jokes and the rednecks who populate this peninsula. You think maybe nature, like all else, is a commodity for the privileged. If you can't feel safe amongst the trees and no one, after all, where can you? But you remember all those times that you came up here as a kid to the mythical Upper Peninsula of Michigan where you first found God and that little seed inside your soul you had already learned too well to bury, and aren't you searching for some shard of yourself that you left out here anyhow? Or perhaps you were never meant to come back to this place after all. Linda, who you like, pours you a glass of wine and says you might be able later to see the aurora borealis, but you think probably not. These things rarely line up, right? You have never before seen the aurora borealis, but you imagine it like an unownable shower of particles and light. On the third evening of the trip, after kayaking down the winding Autrain River 16 miles or more, that morning into afternoon under the hot star sun, and after hiking the day before through sand in the bone-dry heat, and being in more simultaneous places than seems possible, most maliciously mauled by death flies, and for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, you finally have a place by yourself to shower. You take a moment when you shut the door to look in the mirror as you strip. Your sweaty, smelly clothes, like failed attempts, fall to the floor. No one can see. The part of your chest above your sports bra has been burned by the hot star sun. Your breasts are still small but shapely. Later, you will inject yourself with estrogen in a tent. For now, you have your hands. You feel your breasts. You trace the pink lines your failed attempts left. You turn on and step into the aurora borealis. Particles and light cascade. You realize this is the first time in days you have been naked. You feel yourself naked. You feel your genitals, they are soft in your hand. You feel your shoulders, the skin is tender with red. You feel your feet, they are worn but working. You wash your feet like Jesus did the disciples, but it's just you. Water drips, the Spirit moves. The aurora borealis would have been beautiful, but you could not have held it in your hand.